Is it necessary to believe in God to be a good person? Must one explicitly profess a belief in God, or is it acceptable that he adopt an ethical worldview consistent with absolute truth, except for a stated belief in God?
Well, you know, it is not so much what you state. It is more what you do and what you believe. And what God, when you talk about being good, okay, about being a good person, that word good, if you remove one of the O's, turns into what?
God.
Okay? God is the parameter on which good is defined. God, by definition, is good, and good is what God is. So in order to be a good person, you must acknowledge the presence or the existence of an identity, of a parameter for the function good that equates to God. Somehow inside yourself, whether it is intuitively or explicitly, you have got to acknowledge the presence of God in your life in order to be a good person. Otherwise, you have no way of telling good from evil. If you can't tell good from evil, then really it's like flipping a coin.
Chris gave a presentation this afternoon, and when we were meeting, a couple of people in the audience seemed to be atheists. That's why I was thinking of bringing in a naturalistic conceptualization of God, because a lot of people do believe in God. They're just so put off by the baggage that is associated with a religious deity like a Christian God or a Jewish God or Allah, for whatever they are rebelling against in their lives or whatever they're dealing with. I think that a lot of people, agnostics or even atheists, are more in tune with God than they may even realize. They're just not calling it God. They're calling it good.
Yes, but one thing that you have to understand is that when an atheist becomes an activist and denies God, those people have no chance of being good.
Right, of course.
Those are blasphemers and, of course, destined for eternal damnation.
Yes, they're doing bad because they're turning people from the correct path, so that's no good.
They're actually obstructing the will of God. You don't want to do that. You know, maybe you don't know what the will of God is and you're trying your best, but you just can't figure it out. That's one thing. Obstructing, willfully obstructing the will of God and teleology, better watch out.
That's what I like about the CTMU. It's very appealing to people that aren't aligned with any particular religion, and also people that are aligned with all religions. It just doesn't get into that kind of dogma. It's a God that makes a lot of sense, not a punitive God or one only for a particular people, or a God that's deciding things.
God can be punitive, though.
Right, but it's not like he's standing there directing his angels in an anthropomorphic sense.
He's not standing there with a whip, I'm going to hit you if you step out of line. You've got free will and God trusts you to a certain extent. You don't want to abuse or betray that trust if you completely avoid it. A certain number of mistakes will, of course, be tolerated because nobody's perfect. On the other hand, if you're making mistakes willfully, if you're saying, well, I'm going to make mistakes because it feels good and I don't really care what God thinks, that's what you don't want to do. Because ultimately, you're going to have to rely upon God to carry you and save you. All right? When you lose your physical body and you're no longer anchored to this reality, that's when you're going to beg to be resorbed by God. God might not want you if you do that. So you got to be very careful about this.
Right, but I think that this gives us some freedom. If we have a family member and they aren't like there yet with God, they may be more there than they realize. We don't necessarily have to try to convert them or anything. We may be able to just show them that they are, in fact, in line with God without necessarily calling it that.
No, I don't really even believe in pussyfooting around and not using the word God around these people. If they're the kind of people who the word God offends, all right, then basically that's putting yourself ahead of God right there. The concept of God offends me, so you can't even say it. That's putting yourself in opposition to God. So those people, as far as I'm concerned, they're lost. They're done, finished, kaput. I don't want them around anymore, and God doesn't want them around either, because he can't accomplish anything through people who resist him explicitly like that.
I know, but there are going to be people who are not so much rebelling against God, but rebelling against religious orthodoxy and some of the things that have historically been done in the name of God. And there's a lot of emotion there.
Yes, but you've got to exercise your intelligence and understand that those people were not really necessarily acting although they were using the name of God. Maybe they didn't quite know what God was when they were doing that. Maybe they didn't understand what God actually wanted when they were doing that. Okay, you can't, just because they misconstrued a concept, took it in the wrong direction, doesn't, that's not a condemnation of the concept itself.
So what do you do? Say you have a person in your family and that you're close to. To what extent does it fall on you to help them to find their way, to instruct and guide them and help them break their indoctrination and open their minds?
Well, you should care about them. You should want them to be saved. You should want the best for them, and that means that you don't want them to be rejected by God. You want them to maintain a healthy relationship with the identity. So, whenever you can, you should try to sort of nudge them in that direction. If they're the kind of people that are just going to melt down, however, and go into a demonic frenzy, if you give them the slightest nudge in that direction, then maybe you just better kick them to the curb. I don't care whether they're in your family or not. Somehow inside themselves, they have already made a decision, and it's a bad one. So maybe they need to be shocked out of that decision.